Welcome to part two. Just, 2.5 months late. You can probably tell so much time has passed just by the beard alone if you look at the last video. Yeah, I wasn't intending to be gone so long. Thank you to my 4 recurrent viewers. It was a lot of things ended up happening, but the main one was we actually got a new roommate that moved in, and we had to move around a lot of things because it's a whole big process, and we don't have storage space in the apartment, so it's weird. But all that happened, and in the process, I lost the backdrop. Not the blankets themselves. That's actually a quilt, by the way, that my aunt made. It's really cool. But the equipment to set up the backdrop, and I was not going to film in this dirty, dingy apartment. It just wasn't worth it. So, we finally found it. Now I'm back. So, welcome back to 828 Politics. Now, today I am building off of the video that was released in the beginning of March, which I talked about some common misconceptions regarding sex and mostly gender, really. And this is kind of a bit of a connected topic. I mean, you can read the title of the video. You know it's gonna be interesting. Now, this isn't a tirade, not yet at least. Unlike part 1, I'm not going to do this with much specific knowledge, nor was it me seeing someone say something insane and going, yeah, I have to talk about that. Instead, Anon 3, as I will be referring to them, has specifically requested I tackle this topic. And interestingly, they didn't see something they thought was insane and realize someone else had to put it down. Rather, this is a position they themselves advocate for and wanted me to cover and to bring awareness to what they believe is a problem. I respect that a damn lot, and am honored to be so well received in my analyses. So, what is Anon 3's position? To quote them, "It's pretty well established money is not the only gender academic that was overtly pedophilic, or hiding the intent behind normalizing it. Ew. Its propping up is largely upheld by overtly pro-pedophiles within academia, which is also tied into its gradual increasing push to recognize pedophilia as a legitimate sexuality. Sex exists. Gender has hardly found anything not. It was more so made by a guy with a weird incest fetish that resulted in a big right with the pretext in the pedophile channel, opposed recognizing the abundant highlight when at least open the door to provide heightened overality and people notice where I come from. Gender would always have higher stereotypes and the options don't match concluded it would help. A bit like how they used to argue smoking was good for you. Oh, yeah, okay. First things first, what is gender? In part 1 of this project, I found and rephrased the academic definition of what gender is. So let's just copy-paste that over here. Then we have to ask, what is gender? Well, mainly, gender is the thing I had with your dad last night. But secondarily, the answer is extremely complicated. Let's run through this process again. From the Cambridge Dictionary, gender is a group of people in a society who share particular qualities or ways of behaving which that society associates with being male, female, or another identity. They also have the definition of used to refer to the condition of being physically male, female, or intersex, equals having a body that has both male and female characteristics. But, as the dictionary itself points out, they are explaining how the word is used, not necessarily what it means generally. And as we will see shortly, this position is borne out in the literature. The Journal of Applied Physiology from earlier provides further insight into gender. Quote, "Gender can be thought of as the behavioral, cultural, or psychological traits typically associated with one sex. Gender, noun, is derived from the Latin word genus, referring to kind or race. Gender, noun, is defined as a kind, sort, or class referring to the common sort of people. And in the study of human subjects, the term gender should be used to refer to a person's self-representation as male or female, or how that person is responded to by social institutions on the basis of the individual's gender presentation. Gender, then, refers specifically to personal, cultural, and societal beliefs, expectations, and reactions to sex or perceived sex. I am fond of this analogy.
Gender is to sex what engineering is to science. Engineering, it can be simply understood, is science applied to our world. Gender, it can be simply understood, is sex applied to our society. There are social categories of gender which embody roles, traditions, expectations, and values, and a given individual can belong to one group or another. For an example, the physical prevalence of testosterone in men compared to women is a biological facet and belongs to the category of sex. However, our perception of men as domineering and physically powerful, as opposed to the meek and physically weak women, is gender. It is a biological facet looked at through the lens or applied to society. Gender is, necessarily, a social construct. But it is real. So, again, gender is just a thing that exists. To deny the existence of gender, one would have to deny that people have beliefs regarding the biological sexes, which is absolutely absurd. And yeah, man, genes are physical constructs, not abstract, of course. But gender isn't talking about genes, so it still exists. Moreover, it is similarly absurd to deny its existence altogether on the basis of its presumed origin. Let's talk about that in more detail. John Money conducted a landmark study in the mid-1960s. He believed that gender was entirely social, learned, and that no part of it was biological. Thanks to his study, we know he was wrong. He had twin boys, one with genital reconstruction due to a botched circumcision, to be raised with one as a girl and the other a boy. But the child raised as a girl never thought themselves to be a girl. This demonstrated the biological factors of gender identity, and more studies were indeed conducted on this area of research after his study. Now, John Money, well, here's some quotes about his study. During these checkups, Money would force the twins to rehearse sexual acts and inspect one another's genitals. On some occasions, Money would even photograph the twins doing these exercises. Money claimed that childhood sexual rehearsal play was important for healthy childhood sexual exploration. And, in reality, though, David was never happy as a girl. He rejected his female identity and experienced severe gender dysphoria. He would complain to his parents and teachers that he felt like a boy and would refuse to wear dresses or play with dolls. He was severely bullied in school and experienced suicidal depression throughout adolescence. Upon learning about the truth about his birth and sex of rearing from his father at the age of 15, David assumed a male gender identity, calling himself David. And, of course, David continued to suffer from psychological trauma throughout adulthood due to Money's experiments and his harrowing childhood experiences. David endured unemployment, the death of his twin brother Brian, and marital difficulties. At the age of 38, David committed suicide. Money was not a good person, and he certainly is not liked by most of the LGBT community, and sex offender allegations are not necessarily unwarranted. But we also have to understand what he specifically contributed and what he did not. Money did not coin gender. Gender has been used to refer to cultural views long before him. He also did not coin gender identity. The first use of gender identity in academic literature beat him by several years, attributable to Robert Stoller and Ralph Greenson. Money did, however, coin gender role. However, his definition of it never found popular usage as it compressed other important concepts such as sexual orientation into gender role. So although his term outlived him, his definition died at the start. Being wary of gender or gender identity on the basis of Money's involvement in the field is unwarranted. He did not construct those terms or their definitions, and certainly did not create the field of gender identity. Moreover, being wary of gender roles as a concept is also unfounded, for although Money coined the term, his definition didn't stick, and even if it had, whoever coined a term is not at all logically relevant to the validity of the concept that term is describing. Instead of Isaac Newton, the absolute worst person in history could have formulated mathematical theorems regarding the laws of motion, and although we would decry them as a person, that would make their math and their laws no more and no less valid or extant.
Instead of Tolkien, the second absolute worst person in history could have secretly written The Lord of the Rings, and that wouldn't change how the story revolutionized literature as a whole, and for the first time, fantasy became an economically and socially viable option for authors. And yes, this even extends to ulterior motives, as Anon 3 mentions. Let's say someone had an ulterior motive to coin the term propinquity, and to advance it as sociologically valid. Propinquity in psychology is a phenomenon wherein the nearness of two individuals, both physically and mentally, contribute to the formation of relationships. The more frequently you see someone, the more likely you are to like them, either platonically or romantically. Let's go absolute balls to the walls insane for just a moment. Imagine that a pedophile coined the term propinquity and was advancing it as valid to justify their close relationship with a child. Maybe their justification is something like, it's only natural the child likes me, they see me so frequently, it's propinquity. This is evil and insane and certainly an extreme situation. Importantly, propinquity exists outside of this single person and is a studied and accepted psychological phenomenon borne out by other research and other sociological studies. No matter why one specific person advanced the notion, the fact remains that propinquity is real. There's no logically coherent reason to doubt its existence. Of course, Anon 3 takes this to an even greater extreme, suggesting quite bluntly that almost every academic who advocates for the existence of gender as a concept has ulterior motives, namely, pedophilic ulterior motives. This, if true, would cast doubt on gender. If all academic sources push something for the sole reason that they want it pushed, regardless of the actual merit of the idea, we shouldn't really believe that idea. The natural reaction to hearing this is, that is absolutely balls to the walls insane. If that is your natural reaction, that's good. Such statements require absolutely massive amounts of evidence to be accepted. Make your predictions now about what we're going to find. I'll give you a hint. As I was writing this, I didn't know either, but I had my own guesses. So, Anon 3, in the interest of advocating their position, provided citations. Specifically, they provided a video which itself contained numerous citations. This is highly respectable. On screen now is a list of all of these citations, somewhere around here. I don't know. I'm not editing yet. I'm only recording. But you can look at all these different things, and of course, every single link is in the description down below, not just for this part, but for the entire video, so you can check everything that I've looked at for it. So, you want to know what I found with that list? Not a single one of them had anything to do with sexual predators or pedophiles or anything of the sort. Shocking, right? Rather, almost every citation is related in some way to the ongoing academic debate surrounding gender. Not whether or not gender exists, not whether or not gender is a social construct, but specifically the degree to which our differences are cultural and learned, and to which they are inherited and biological. Which, yeah, that's what the debate is. The academic consensus is, and has been for a very long time, that some traits are learned, some traits are inherited. That both nurture and nature play a role, but the goal is teasing out the exact way they interact and produce us. So, zero supporting evidence for such a massive claim that gender as a concept is upheld by pedophilic intentions in academia. And with this, it was time to ruin my own search history. And another spoiler alert, I didn't find anything. Zero information regarding how gender ideology is purported to be upheld in academia by pedophiles. One of Donald Trump's executive orders came up several times, funnily enough. But no evidence, no research, no outings, no arrests, no data, no nothing. We have more on Drake than this. This seems to me a conspiracy theory, or fear-mongering, or both. Perhaps I am missing something important. Perhaps my search engine is compromised by the woke agenda. If there is information regarding this out there, and any of you listening have access to it, present it. I will make addendums as needed. But until then, I will confidently say that this narrative is false, that it is a lie spread, knowingly or otherwise, by those who wish to make gender and gender studies out to be this massively evil thing for ideological purposes. And those already wary, justified or not, adopt this belief without proper backing. You don't need to go far into the conservative zeitgeist to see claims about how everyone and everything they don't like are secretly pedophiles, and all science that points to the contrary of what they believe is propped up by pedophiles, or similar such accusations. I do not take these accusations lightly. If you believe this sort of thing, show some receipts, or do not repeat it. Gender is real. Gender is just a thing that is, a term used to refer to the very real beliefs and attitudes. John Money's involvement in the early research on the topic is not a logically valid reason to discredit or doubt the entire existence of the concept or of the scientific accuracy of the literature surrounding it. Moreover, no, pedophiles are not propping up gender studies in academia. Again, unless my computer is infected by the woke mind virus and yours is not. Better luck next time. Despite not finding anything that can tie gender as a concept to a pervasive pedophile ring in academia, or that it's being upheld by pro-pedophiles in academia, that's not to say that all of what I found in this research is uninteresting or unworthy of taking a look at. But due to the general unrelatedness of it to gender, and because it's worthy of a whole video unto itself, that's what's gonna happen. As long as I don't lose my equipment again, or get sick again, or any number of other things, I should be back next week with part 3. And hopefully it goes well. I still have to do the usual outro stuff I get. Oh, there's a car. But if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to stick around for the next one where I talk about even more pedophiles, it doesn't matter, I can say the word because YouTube can't monetize me because I'm not monetized in the first place because I don't have enough viewers. So if you want to help me out with that, make sure to like the video and subscribe and do whatever other algorithm-y thingies that help channels out. It really does help me. I mean, not financially yet, but I do enjoy seeing those numbers get bigger. That it does make me happy, so I would appreciate that. But with all that said, I think that's all I have for you today. This has been H-Weight Politics. And never stop learning, even about pedophiles, I guess.